Hey Zoe. So I am working on your mittens. This is my video tutorial. So I am using bulky weight, and so this is this thick stuff. I think that's what we knit our mittens with. And I knit a swatch because everybody knits differently. So what this ends up being for me, and you might be the same way, the bulky weight, you're supposed to use size 13 needles. That's crazy because like I don't have 13 size needles. I have size 10. So here's my 10 needles, my size 10. And so 3 stitches equals an inch, and my wrist is about 7 inches, and you want it just a little bit tighter than your wrist. So I tried 18 stitches and it's just not right. So you start your stitches like this. Remember, you hold it like this, and you take from this side, then you take from there, and create your cast on. So 3 stitches is an inch for me. It might actually be a little bit more. 4, 5, 6. And I did this several times before I videoed to see how many stitches would work for my wrist. 22 was too big, 18 was too small. So I've got 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 on this. I'm going to use a new, and I'm going to cast on. To me, this is easier than trying to spread them out. And I just hold on to this. So 1, you want to have equal numbers, kind of. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that's 2, 4, 6, 7, plus another 6 is 13. And then I'm going to do another. I'm going to bring this needle to, just like the other one, add another needle in. So it's kind of like a long line of needles. You're going to join them here in a minute. I'm going to cast on 7 for this one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There's another way of casting on, but I don't remember how I did it. So now I have 7 on 1, 6 on 1, and 7 on 1. So I've got 20. I'm going to say that's probably better because I had 18, too small, 22 is too much. So it ends up being a long string of these. So what you do, you have your extra, you're going to have 4 needles. So you want to line up, make them like a triangle, and you're going to join them with the next stitches. So what I usually do is I make sure they're just not, I make sure they're not twisted. Make sure each area is not twisted. Okay? And this is where, see, this one is where the string comes out. So the next stitch is in the very first one that we cast on. That's where we're going to close the loop. Okay? But you're going to need your 4th needle. 4th needle. And you turn this upside down because we knit upwards, or right now the stitches are toward me. See the ones I've already stitched are toward me. That helps me to remember I'm knitting forward. And then I just bring the yarn over to this one and I knit it. And you're transferring all those. Once you get this joined, it is just really easy. It's just a little bit awkward at first. You might have to do it a couple times if you get it twisted. But I think you'll probably get it on the first go because I think you did pretty good on this from what I remember. So you just knit each one of these. Knitting bulky yarn that should have a 13 size needle on 10s is a little awkward. You kind of have to make your loops big. Like see how that loop is pretty large. There's space in it because otherwise it's too tight and your black mittens are too tight. So that one I knit everyone on it. Now I'm gonna see it's in the round. Now you just knit in the round for a while. The pattern that I have is written for thinner yarn, so it's more like 4 stitches to an inch, and so it talks about how many rows you knit before you do the thumb gusset. And so what I do is I do kind of count how many you're going up, and then write it down so that when you make the second mitten, it ends up being the same as the first. So right now I've knit, we cast on one, we knit one. That's what we're knitting right now. I'm almost up to the starting point. So that would be 2 rounds. And so it looks like this. The other thing that's kind of weird, let's see if you can see it. It's like it's barely joined where this little string hangs off. And if you pull that and then later you're going to weave that end in, it actually tightens up. It actually tightens up. So this is where your hand goes in. And I usually, because I like to make sure things fit, I put my hand through to make sure. So for me, I feel like that fits good enough. I don't want it too tight personally, but that's up to you. If you want to use my pattern, then you're going to have to use yarn that is like made for size 10 knitting needles. Okay, so that's one. So you just keep a count, or you can even count the rows, you know, like after you've knit for a while, just keep knitting in the round, knitting around in your circle, knitting in the round. Okay. So you just keep knitting, and then I'm going to come back and show you when I get up to the thumb gusset. But basically, it's almost like knitting a hat. This is just like knitting a hat. So if you ever want to make a hat, you do the exact same thing. You're just going to cast on enough. You measure the circumference of your head. Most people are like between 16 to 21 inches, depending on if a person likes the hat really tight or not. And you cast on stitches. So if you're using this yarn, you would multiply 3 stitches for every inch. So let's say you were making a child's hat and it was 15 stitches, 15 inches, then it would be 3 stitches times 15, and that would be 45 stitches that you would cast on. So it'd be 15 on each one of these. Now, the other thing you can do is cast on in the round the knitting needles that are all connected, you know, which actually works better for hats. And I suspect that you would, I don't think you've made a hat. I don't remember that you've made a hat. I suspect you would really love it since you like making mittens. And hats with this bulky weight yarn would go really fast. I went to Walmart today and I bought this yarn for like $3, and it's probably enough to make one basic hat, but it's not really that good of yarn. I mean, it probably wouldn't be super warm or anything. I don't think, because it's just acrylic. And Paul just walked in, and he was going to videotape, but see, this is working out really well. See, I'm knitting. Okay, so now I've gone around twice, and I'm already on my 3rd round as I'm talking to you. And so it still looks like that from this side, which is facing you. And then the part I've knit is toward me. Same thing with the hat. You knit a hat the same exact way. All right. I will send you another video that shows how to do the thumb gusset so you don't have to watch for 10 minutes and then see the thumb gusset. Love you. Okay, so now I have made this much, and I made mine probably a little longer than you might make yours, and I'm putting my hand through, and for me, I want it to come over my wrist. I want more. And so we need to start working on the thumb gusset. So what that means is we need a little bit wider space here. So we're going to knit a few and add a stitch. Just what it does is it just makes this part here just slightly wider. So it's not just a straight tube when you put it on. But by the way, this is how you could make socks. You can knit them from the toe up to the top, or you can start here and you could actually make socks going out. So the gusset, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to add a stitch. So we're going to knit a few and add, we are adding about an inch. So we know that 3 stitches equals an inch. So we're going to knit 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. When we get to the end here, that's 7. Then we're going to make one. So you twist it around your thumb and you just kind of make a little loop. Okay, that's make one. And it stays on. It's just twisted on. That's all that is. You'll knit it when you come back around for the next. And we're going to do that on each one of these because we want to add about an inch for the gusset. The gusset being where the thumb comes in. So you're just knitting, I'm just knitting each of these stitches, and when I come to the end of a row or end of this, then I'm going to make one. So again, you twist it around and you twist it around your thumb and then slide it on. You made another. There's different ways of making stitches, but this is an easy way that works. So we have one more, and they just have to be pretty equally spaced. And remember, we have 20 stitches on here. So now when we're done, we should have 23. So we'll count. Okay. And knitting with size 10 needles works pretty well as long as I keep my stitches pretty loose. Okay, I'm going to make one more. Go around the thumb, and it twists. So see, it's twisted like that. And slide it on. So what it says now is knitting the thumb gusset. Round 1, knit 2, make 1. So we're just expanding this part right here. We have the wrist. We're just making it so it expands in here, okay? And I'll come back here in a few minutes. Okay, so we have added one on each of these, and now what we're going to do is we're going to build in a space for the thumb gusset. So it's actually a space, and then it's stitches that will help us knit in a circle to do the thumb. So I'm following a pattern that I can give to you, but it says knit 2, 1, 2, place marker. That's it. PM is place marker. So here here I have a little rubber band, and I'm placing it on my needle, and then it says make one. So we know we just twist it around the thumb and place it on. So make one, and then it says knit one, then it says make one, so we're making another one, and then it says place marker, so we're placing another marker. And then it says knit to the end of the round. So what we have is this space is where the thumb gusset, that's where it's going to be room for this. So now we're going to knit in the round, which means going around and just knitting everything one time till we come to the first marker, I believe. So it says on round 2, we knit in the round completely again. Okay, so we have our markers. This is our 3rd round of making the gusset. So it says knit to the marker. So here's the marker. You slip the marker. That's, oops. We have one more stitch. Knit that stitch. Then we slip the marker, which is SM, and then M1 is to make a stitch. So we're making a stitch. So we make one and we put it on there. And then we knit to the next marker. So we're knitting to the next marker. Here's the next one. And it says make one. So you make one before you slip the marker. And then you slip the marker on. And then you knit to the end of the round. And then what we're going to have is, you can already see it starting to form right here. We're already starting to have where we have the wrist, and then it's wider here for the edge of your hand, and then this is where the thumb is going to go. So it's going to go like this. I just dropped my marker, but I know where it goes. So right here and here, where the marker goes is actually, we're going to actually soon put it on a piece of string, and it's going to be a circle that's going to go around for our thumb. Okay, so I took the gusset and I just put the string all the way through these stitches, and when I pulled it closed, I had knitted up to this point. Then I just picked up the next stitch over here and it closed this up. That's how we create a hole for the thumb. And then we just go around just like you did down here, only it's wider. I have 23 stitches on when I started out with 20. So I have 3 extra stitches, which means it's 3 stitches equals an inch, so it's an inch bigger. And now I'm going to start decreasing the top for the end of the mitten. Then you go back and you finish the thumb. You just pick up all the stitches. There's 9 stitches here. That's 3 inches around the thumb. And then, yeah, so that's how you do it.